Ayam nijaha paro veti ganana lagu cetasam udara charitanantu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. As the intelligence in us grows, we increasingly see that dividing rest of the people as our people and others is indeed immature. Therefore, the old Subhashita had said, for those people of awakened intelligence and as a result of true broad-mindedness, the entire earth is one family. Vasudha eva kutumbakam. The earth becomes one family. So we say that there is a lower level of intelligence. The Sanskrit shloka calls it lagu chetaha, petty-mindedness. And then there is the higher intelligence, which the shloka calls udara buddhi, udara charita. In petty-mindedness, all because of our intelligence being of a lower grade, lower level, we look at somebody as my man and somebody else as, not mine. And what is the criterion for this division? Could be nationality, could be color of the skin, could be language, could be one of 1,000 things. Religion also included. And sometimes it is none of these. The other person speaks the same language as I do, comes from the same region as I do, has the same color of skin as I have. He is also a man if I am a man. In 1,000 ways, the other guy is like me, and yet I may look at him as, he is not mine. Why? Because the other day he punctured my ego. The other day, this guy of my own community, my own language, and so on and so forth, wasn't favorable to my desires. I wanted something, and he said, you cannot have it. I wanted him to praise me, and he found fault with me. On that basis, I regard this man as not mine, and somebody from a distant country of a different color of skin and speaking a different language, etc., etc., suppose has been praising me, has been feeding my ego, I tend to look at that man as, he's my man. Now, more than what the other people do, it is the lack of intelligence in me that creates these divisions. Therefore, the Subhashita went, Ayam nijaha, this guy is mine, paraha, and that guy is other than my group. Iti ganana, such consideration, lagu chetasa, of petty-minded people. Udara charitanantu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. We are here in this session of the webinar to talk about Vedānta and corporate leadership. In corporate leadership, when somebody is heading a certain business organization, small or big, having operations in the entire country or operations in all the continents of the world, no matter on what level, the business leader time and again has to make choices. And ordinarily, thanks to that limited intelligence, that childish petty-mindedness, a businessman, no matter how sophisticated he looks outwardly and what wonderful qualifications he shows, actually could be really pursuing very low goals. In business, they call profit, monetary profit, the bottom line. And if the bottom line is driving a business executive, then he has a long way to go before his intelligence grows. And here we would say Vedanta is about raising the intelligence level. I want to now make it very clear that somebody would be a far better business leader with the knowledge of Vedanta, with the true impact upon him from Vedanta, let us say. And I want to make it clear, not merely because of the moral instructions that Vedanta would give, like all religions do. The moral plane: speak truth, don't tell lies, be kind, don't be cruel, or as the great Satya Sai Baba often said, harm nobody, serve everybody. Don't harm, but serve. Love everybody, harm none, and love all. This is rooted in the highest Vedanta wisdom, but the way it is presented is on the moral plane. Because to speak truth, to be kind, to help others, to serve others is morally superior. To hurt people, to tell lies, etc. is morally very inferior. So are we talking of a bunch of solid, sound moral instructions whereby somebody becomes a superior business leader? We say Vedanta, by which primarily Upanishads are meant, does have quite a bit of moral instructions. But the crux of the Vedanta is an extraordinary truth, and we would like to dwell more on that. That extraordinary truth which the Upanishads reveal, well supported by logic, well supported by our own personal experience. What the Vedanta reveals is primarily Shruti, Veda Vakya. It is well supported by Yukti, logic or reason, and then well supported by Anubhuti, which is personal as well as universal experience. You and I, when our mind is quiet, for whatever reason, when the mind is quiet, when thoughts subside, experience tremendous happiness, which we may not get with wealth or some other achievement. So we mean by experience by saying universal experience, such things like how when the mind is quiet, universally, whether it is a black man in Africa, a white man in America, or a brown guy in India, universally, child or old person, woman or man, universally, when the mind is quiet, people experience happiness. Manasi cha paritushte, ko daridraha, kaha dhanavan, asks Bhartrahari in Vairagya Shataka. When the mind is at rest, what distinction will there be between a poor man and a rich man? Somebody whose mind is paritushta, very content, very satisfied, is the richest of all. I believe there was a very proud and arrogant rich man, and he happened to hear a discourse by a religious scholar, where the latter made fun of people going after money. The religious scholar in a discourse said, people go on acquiring money and they want more and more, as though they are able to take it with them when they die. Nobody can take it with them when they die, he made a statement. The millionaire or the billionaire heard that and somehow he didn't like it. But when he went home, he started thinking, though I didn't like the way the scholar mocked at people pursuing money, I have been pursuing money all my life and I have become very rich as a result. But he made fun of us and challenged us. Can you take the money with you when you die? When he thought about it, it seemed to him that whether I like it or not is a right question. Can I take money when I die? Next day in his office, he calls all his senior officers and asks, can any of us, any one of you tell me a way whereby I can take my wealth with me when I die? All of them kept quiet. And when he repeatedly asked them on subsequent days, he could understand that they were looking at him as though he was a madcap. But this very wealthy man was not satisfied or was not ready to give up. He went on pursuing that question. Is there some way whereby I can take my money to wherever I go, heaven or some other loka? He believed in various lokas, various worlds after death. Finally, from nowhere, out of the blue, as they say, a stranger came and said to him, my dear man, I will tell you how to take your money even beyond death. So the rich man was very interested. How? Tell me. Before I tell you, you tell me, when you want to take your rupees to United States, what do you do? The rich man said, I convert all of them into dollars. Oh, when you go to England, what do you do? I convert them into pound sterling. And in Europe, euros. So went on answering all these questions. Then the stranger said, so exactly like that, you have to convert your money. You can't take the money as it is. You have to convert the money to some currency which works in heaven also. And the rich man said, what is the currency there? Nobody told me whether it is dollars or pounds or euros or yen or what. The stranger said, it is very simple. The currency that works in the heaven or hell or wherever, the other worlds, is called religious merit, punya. You convert your money to punya, and whatever punya, that is religious merit, you will earn by spending your money, will stay with you, will go with you to the other worlds, whichever the world is. When I read this story, it seemed to me that Warren Buffett and Bill Gates must have been told by a stranger exactly this. So after amassing a lot of wealth, people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates started doing unbelievable amount of charity because they found out this elementary lesson. They can't take the wealth to the other worlds when they die. And one way to take the wealth is convert it into punya. So they are earning punya. God bless them. So on the moral plane, much is said in the Upanishads. So what is that plane other than moral? Let us call it the metaphysical plane. The metaphysical is the higher plane, which is above ordinary phenomena. Therefore, they say metaphysics begins where physics ends. Physics talks about forces of nature, varieties of phenomena in this universe, and metaphysics is something beyond. So what is the metaphysics of the Upanishads? Without making it long, I'll come to the crux of the matter. The Upanishads, without mincing words, say to us, all of us, Tom, Dick and Harry, every one among us is actually pure consciousness. We are of the nature of pure existence, awareness. Take just the word pure consciousness. Consciousness with an uppercase C, capital C. We are pure consciousness, and the Advaita Vedānta goes to the extent of saying that there is only one pure consciousness which all of us are. It seems that we are many, but actually we are just one. The sun in the sky is one. He may get reflected in 1,000 buckets filled with water, and somebody looking at all the buckets may feel, oh, there are 1,000 suns. This real sun is one up in the sky. So pure consciousness is one. Now, this is not to be just repeated like a parrot would do by a Vedanta student. The Upanishadic teachings imparted by a competent teacher give to the student tremendous clarity, and there are mind-blowing insights, revelations, additional light thrown on these statements, which give to us great clarity. I must confess before you something. Years ago in one of my lectures, I had made some remark. I said to the audience, you know, there are some people who will come and frighten you. If you have not studied Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, if you have not studied Brahma Sutra Bhashya, well, you have not studied anything at all. They try to scare you, they try to make you feel small. Don't listen to them. There is no end to that kind of scholarship, etc. I mean, I said it with good intentions and in a good spirit. But why I called it a confession is, last 2 days over telephone call, I have had some discussions with a very good friend of mine in Bangalore, elderly person. And when he threw light on the Vedanta, drawing from Adi Shankara's comments on certain mantras of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, as well as certain comments that Adi Shankara made on the Brahma Sutras, I found those comments so valuable. Then I looked at my own statement long back, because my audience would have, though I might not have intended that, my audience would have misunderstood, oh, there is no need to study Brihadaranyaka or Brahma Sutra or blah blah. We will just stay with the 2 or 3 Upanishads. That's enough. Now, it's a very queer situation. In a sense, yes, simply amassing knowledge has no point. But another sense, there are these texts, and what Shankara would have said on these texts, suppose has a way to open up and illumine certain dark corners in your understanding. It will certainly be valuable. So I say this at this point because to say you are pure consciousness, for heaven's sake, should not be misunderstood as, okay, tomorrow onwards I'm going to look at myself as pure consciousness. It won't work. You got to examine, you got to study the Vedānta, and now come to corporate leadership. As a business executive, whether going by his swadharma, he is Brahmana or Vaishya, Kshatriya or Shudra, or some strange combination. Why strange? Some good combination. No matter what our personalities are, the moment we deeply appreciate and understand, I am consciousness. My clients, my customers are also the same consciousness. I, as parent, am consciousness. My child is also pure consciousness. I, as a teacher, am consciousness, and she, as a student, is consciousness. In varieties of relationships, as the Vedanta teachings sink in, and the person involved realizes that really selfishness is a very stupid thing. To be obsessed with my promotion, my fame, my getting wealthy, to be obsessed with my community, my religion, my region, my language, there are a number of things, right? Those make what is called selfishness. So I am making the most central point of this webinar that Vedanta can very successfully reduce and eliminate all forms of selfishness in us. You have popular literature, and I am fond of quoting Stephen Covey, who is no more now, but in the 80s, late 80s, he brought out that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, especially relevant to business leaders and relevant to anybody on the earth. Now, to briefly touch upon them, let me show you how Vedanta shines through those principles, especially in relationship to others. Out of the 7 habits, Stephen Covey makes 4, 5, and 6 in the interpersonal domain. You see, he has organized his teachings in this way. The first 3 are to increase one's own personal effectiveness. The next 3 are to improve one's effectiveness in interpersonal domain. How you treat your team members, how you treat your customers, how you treat your competitors, how you treat the government, how you treat some other authority, how you treat people who come to you for charity, for a donation, how you treat others no matter where they belong, how you treat your own family members, how you treat your own children, whatever. There are others and there is you. In that interpersonal domain, he has 3 habits which he recommends. They are no other than seek first to understand, then to be understood. Normally we complain, I am not understood, I have been misunderstood, my ways have not been appreciated, nobody truly sees me as I am. We complain that people are not understanding us. Covey says, we sympathize with you. We don't say you are telling something incorrect. Maybe people are not understanding you, but gather yourself. A mature way of going about it is keep that problem aside. You first understand others. If your children don't understand you, it is sad. We don't say it's okay, but try to understand your children more. If your students don't understand you, sad enough, but please try to understand your students. Same way with the clients, customers, authorities, and so on. Now, the Vedantic principle that everyone is the same consciousness. We have no business to label somebody hurriedly. I don't care for them. They don't count. They don't exist anymore in my life. I've struck them off, etc. This kind of extreme views are not supported by the understanding. All of us are that one consciousness. Therefore, try to understand rather than seeking to be understood. Then there is the fifth, synergize. Fifth was this. Oh, I went to the sixth directly. Fifth. Seek first to understand. That was number 5. 4, 5, and 6 are in the interpersonal domain. So let me go to the 4. Number 4 is think win-win. Right away, it is a spiritual principle. I must win and the other guy should lose. I have won last 10 times, but 11th time also I only must win. He is a selfish, petty-minded view. And no management guru would say, you know, you have won enough, now go on losing. That's not the idea. You, yes, perform till you are in the field, perform well. But can you think win-win? That means as you win, other side also should win. Is there an approach where it is neither you win and the other guy loses, nor the other guy wins and you lose? Rather, is there an area where both win, win-win? And that has become a very common and highly popular expression. I'm not sure whether that expression was in use before even Covey. I picked it up mainly from him. Think win-win. That means in more and more situations, try to do something whereby maximum people are happy. Other side also is happy. Because go to Vedānta, the other side also is as precious a principle as you are. In fact, there are no two. And 4, 5, and 6, there are 3 habits in the interpersonal domain. So let's see what is the 6th one, last among the 3. That is synergize. Don't work in isolation. A lot of us have the nature of working hard, but we don't share, we don't delegate, we neither give work to others nor gladly take work from others just like that. We just remain in our own little well. Synergize, as everybody knows, is an approach where we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to do the same thing as everybody is doing. So we make a team and different talents complement, go hand in hand. We avoid repetition. We work in such a way that everybody's strength is brought into the picture. That's synergy, where they popularly say synergy is a magnificent phenomenon where 2 and 2 together becomes not 4, becomes 7, becomes 9. 2 plus 2 can become 22, etc. Because that synergistic working in team brings forth far more results than if people were to work in isolation, not even communicating enough with each other. So, lastly, in this webinar, I would say that these principles, as Stephen Covey expressed in a certain way, and we otherwise touched upon them in a certain way, have a tremendous bearing on our relation with nature also. In the synopsis that went around for this webinar, we had even made a reference to the disaster that Kerala has gone through just now, where the flooding in many places of Kerala, in fact some district of Karnataka also, namely Coorg, unbelievable damage, so much of suffering, lot of losses, and many people have analyzed the situation and have said this is a result of our handling nature unwisely. We exploited or we took undue advantage of nature, and nature is hitting back at us. Nature's fury is in response to our own wrong actions before. Some have said, no, it is not exactly all nature oriented or caused by nature. There is a human blunder here. There have been many reasons given. The dams were opened at the wrong time. They should have been opened a little at a time and leveled out, but they did not open at all for a long time, and then some dam was opened suddenly overnight, letting out too much of water. In that case, it is a human blunder, but I would say whether it is a human blunder or nature's fury as a result of earlier exploitation by humanity, in either case, the point that comes out is interrelatedness. When humans do harm to other humans, or when humans do harm to nature, they imagine that the other human beings let them suffer, or oh, let nature suffer. Whether it's throwing plastics everywhere, or cutting trees, or using chemicals in agriculture as pesticides or as fertilizers, and numerous ways. Countless are the ways. Today you and I are making a blunder in our daily life simply in terms of wrong lifestyles. I plead with a lot of younger generation these days, for heaven's sake, don't stay more than 11 p.m. Sleep latest by 11. Actually, earlier the better. But today, younger generation sometimes go to bed at 3 a.m., 3:30, and so on, then rush in the morning. So not only in the context of sleep, lot of us eat junk food or very oily food. So in food, in sleep, and we are becoming so attached to gadgets. We are getting enslaved to technology. This WhatsApp itself is enough as an example. Therefore, somebody joked that we are no more Homo sapiens. Our species is no more Homo sapiens. Our species better be called Homo what sapiens. They joked. And that also came on WhatsApp only, that joke. So, alas, in all these ways, because of the inherent interrelatedness, first it appears that we are having a good time and somebody suffers, let him suffer, but it boomerangs on us. All these wrong ways of living, of doing, cause such unhappiness, such suffering to us only just a little down the road. Therefore, the Vedānta, the Upanishads, which point out interrelatedness and one step further, oneness. It is one truth which is appearing as manifold, gives to us a higher understanding. The corporate leader who is well informed by Vedanta, not by just some platitudes, but through a lot of discussion, lot of study, a lot of exchange of thoughts, lot of pondering, lot of sincere self-application, such a business executive is bound to run his organization in a different way. He will not be chasing just the bottom line. He wants profits, but not at the cost of certain values. He will work out ways. After all, you and I do have tremendous intelligence in us, but we must tap that intelligence. We must channel that intelligence in our field of work. Therefore, in the corporate context, it is possible that organizations around the world, no matter in which field they are working, can act more responsibly. And organizations can act responsibly only when people running the organization are better informed, better spiritually informed. Now they have management qualification, they have knowledge of technology, but when they also know the spiritual principles that govern human life, that govern the entire world, including their business field, there will be a difference. Therefore, more caring, more responsible, more holistic in their approach, the executives will become. That is the relationship between Vedānta and the corporate world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Please feel free to ask a couple of questions if there are. Let's see. So we will begin with Ranjan Desai. Yes, Ranjan.
It was a very good webinar. Once again, Swamiji, I really enjoyed it. And I just a comment, and if you want to say it now or later, but I'm extremely curious to know what transpired between you and another friend of yours in Bangalore that you said. If you want to tell that about the top 3 points now, or maybe we can take up in the next webinar, to explain what happened. I'm really curious on what happened there. Actually.
Right. Okay. Right now, I will tell you the gist of it. The Bangalore friend basically threw valuable light, drawing from Shankara's comments, how the pure consciousness is everything there is. That itself pervades the object, which at first sight, seems to be different. We generally think consciousness is what knows, and there is something which is known. The knower and the known are separate. But in advanced study of the Vedanta, we come to know that consciousness, pure consciousness, is everywhere. It is sarva-vyapi, and there is nothing other than pure consciousness. And whether it is waking state or dream or deep sleep, there is pure consciousness alone, but mind does this magic. Mind does not have even a wee bit of existence other than pure consciousness. The mind is like how in Chandogya Bhashya, Shankaracharya says, this the Bangalore friend did not mention, but in a related style, there is a serpent, and then the serpent comes in a form of a coil. It coils up. How the coil shape is not even 1 millimeter away from the serpent. The serpent itself is a coil there. Like that, pure consciousness itself is the object. But the mind, because of this error, what we call the basic error, creates this division. So, the false divisions, which are the outcome of an error, and Vedanta's only job is to remove this error.
Right.
Remove the error is the job. So all this was discussed at various places in Shankara's commentaries, and this friend was able to actually quote specific lines, specific mantras, specific statements of both Upanishad as well as Shankara's Bhashya. He was specially referring to a section in the Vrahadharanyaka called Jyotir Brahmana.
Mhm.
Brahmana is section. Brahmana here means a section. There's a particular section which is named as Jyotir Brahmana. That means a section throwing light on the nature of Jyoti, nature of awareness. Jyoti here stands for awareness.
Right.
So Yajnavalkya is talking to perhaps King Janaka, and Yajnavalkya makes a few statements. So drawing from that, he was elaborating. But as you rightly suggested, we can take this in greater detail in a subsequent webinar.
Sure. It was very nice. Thank you. Carry on.
Welcome. So then, okay, are there any text questions? Let me see. There seem to be, oh, there is one raised hand somewhere. Yes, our friend Radha Krishna. Mic is not, you are self-muted. And the, no, it's up. Yes, Radha Krishna.
Hari Om Swamiji, just a couple of thoughts and looking for your comments. There's a book that I've been reading recently. It's called The Equations of Life.
Okay.
The interesting part of it is it explores the continuum between inanimate matter and animate matter.
Oh.
And looks at, tries to understand the definition of life in such a continuum.
I see.
So given that background, the question is more to your comment. Given that background, the use of the word consciousness is probably misleading. As you said, it has a connotation of perception or knowing, knower. So given that background, consciousness, the use of the word consciousness appears to be sort of human oriented. So, and the question that arises is, whatever is the continuum behind animate and inanimate, does it really have this property of consciousness or knowledge?
Okay. Yeah. Really speaking, any word can be misleading. That is why we sometimes say, don't we, that the truth is beyond words and so on. Because any word is used depending on our background and our conditionings, and depending on where that word is used in other contexts, we begin to limit the meaning of that word. So we therefore repeatedly say, study of Vedanta from competent teachers for an extended length of time, lot of rumination, lot of pondering, a lot of manana is required. And all this will happen when somebody gets a hang of it. Nobody should fear, oh, when will I be able to do it? If you develop a ruchi, if you develop a taste for it, you cannot stop but studying and going deeper and deeper. So every word has its limitations. Now coming to the question, why use the word consciousness at all as regards all the inanimate objects also? The Vedanta in its own way tries to give us a different outlook. Moment some inanimate object is in your knowledge, you see a rock, you see a stone. Now you are consciousness and the rock is in consciousness, permeated by consciousness. But thought comes along and says, there is the rock and here I am. That is Abhimana. I am this body and I am able to know. And that is a rock over there 10 feet away from me. That doesn't know at all that I am looking at it. This is all mischief of thought. And really there is no need to take up question like, are you saying that the rock knows you? Are you saying that the stone is also looking at you and wondering who is this who has come my way today? No, that is all unnecessary drama. We say that pure consciousness is something in which everything is. And in that manifestation, there are various levels. The stone doesn't have the expressions as a human being. As we are walking, we may raise our hands, our face is moving, our eyebrows go up, we are speaking. The rock is sitting quietly there. So manifestation is so rudimentary in the case of inanimate objects, and in the case of us, our expressions, our manifestations are of a wide range. But Vedanta has this to say, that leave aside the manifestations, there is Chit Tattva pervading everything. Yeah, words do have limitations, therefore we need to examine what is meant. Okay, can we go to another question? There is. Mr. Ganti has a text question. Yes. Assuming heads of state as executives in a broader sense, position expressed by the Indian PM that India won't accept aid from outside to help Kerala. Your comment on it from Vedānta. First of all, I am not aware that Indian Prime Minister made that statement that we will not accept. I was thinking that some aid already came from some foreign countries. Anyway, these are individual views, and as you know, every view has some background. So Indian PM, if he had said it, probably he is saying it with a certain background. Maybe he sees some kind of arm twisting. He sees maybe some hidden agenda, or maybe there is, he has an insight that on some other occasion a particular country had refused to help and now trying to show that we are helping. So there are some other details involved. Otherwise, there is absolutely no reason why we should not take help from anybody. We can take help from a very rich country, we can take help from an extremely poor country also when we are in the midst of a great disaster. But this is what sometimes you may have known an expression in Indian languages. It is called knowledge of Purvapara. Knowledge of Purvapara. Purvapara Jnana. What is Purvapara? Purva means what went on before. Apara means what can happen in future. Anything that we do or say has a Purva, has some background, and it will have a Apara, a consequence. So with some Purvapara Jnana in his mind, the PM might have said something. In principle, there is nothing. Now, Vijayalakshmi has a question. What is the place of patriotic feelings in the context of this pure consciousness? Really speaking, wherever you are, you will be in the first place showing love, showing care to your surroundings. So patriotism in the form of caring for your country perfectly is in line with Vedanta. The problem would be in the name of caring for your country, suppose you per se hate other countries. You label some neighboring country as they are wretched people. That has no room in Vedanta. But to care for people next to you. Even Jesus Christ said, right, love thy neighbor. So wherever you live, your village, your state, your country becomes the immediate, circle of friends for you. So to care for whoever is close to you is an expression of your greater maturity. Therefore, in olden days, it used to be said, Janani Janma Bhumischa Swargadapi Gariyasi. Your mother and the country of your birth is greater than even heaven. That has to be taken with a grain of salt. It should not be taken so literally. Really speaking, wherever you settle, you may be a South Indian, you may settle in North, or you may be an Indian, you settle in Germany. So no matter where you go and settle, that's why you went there, why you settled there is a different matter. Moment you are somewhere, you start caring for people around you. And greater your ability, larger is the circle of people whom you influence. So, to briefly answer your question, patriotism understood as caring for people around you is most welcome. But if patriotism has the dimension of harboring some negative feelings about the so-called others, other countries, and per se means, without even questioning. Just moment you hear that somebody is from such and such country, you say, I don't want to help that guy if he is from that country. That is not in line with spirituality. Now, I think Ganti further asks, oh no, that is the same question. Now, Ashish Gupta has come in. Hi, Swamiji. In the corporate life, when one is running a company or a group, there is often very little black and white, and there is more gray. For example, a decision may be what's best for the company, but may have a deviation from your values. Is there anything the Vedanta recommends on how to go about making a grey decision? Yeah. Like I said about Vedanta itself, remember in my talk I said Vedanta is not about making a list of some great statements and clinging to them. There is more and more of rumination, more and more pondering, and you have to arrive at a deeper understanding. Then the words, the statements go behind. The understanding remains. Likewise, in the context which you have raised, in the case of a grey area, neither white nor black, you can't say it is a wrong thing to do, not exactly wrong. You can't say this is fully right, it's not fully right. That's what we call grey area. So one has to ponder more, and finally, one has to do what the best is possible. Therefore, your values on one hand, company's good on the other, both have to be weighed, and you have to find a middle ground. You have to look within and be true to yourself. You have your values, but you have to see how much you value your values. Because among the values that we have also, we value certain values very intensely, very highly, and certain other values we may not value so much. Values are, in that sense, like possessions. I have a fridge, I have a TV, I have a diamond ring, and I have something which has tremendous sentimental value. My father gave it to me when he was passing away. So I value all this. But isn't it true that given the choice, I let go of my fridge or television, but hold on to something which my dad gave me at the time of leaving his last. Likewise, in your so-called human values also, there is some hierarchy. And what matters for the company also, there is some hierarchy. So upon pondering, finally, as they say, I was true to my conscience. I went by my inner voice. I did not go by some superficial gratification. I did not go for something that would give me some passing pleasure. Suppose if you are able to act in this way, then you will have the greatest peace later on. Whereas, as we already used the expressions, if you say, I don't know, this is getting too tight for me, I'll just go for what is going to please me now. So, passing pleasure. Then, okay, you have the freedom, you do it. Down the road, you will find you pay for it. You will have conflict, you will have remorse, you will have shame, you will have regrets, etc. So life goes on giving us new chances then. Okay, last time you slipped, but this time can you do more of your purview and take something which is closer to your deeper values. This way life with great compassion gives to us more and more chances. So there is no standard formula. One has to ponder, one has to open up issues, provided there is time, and then come to the best possible decision. Okay, so looks like all the questions are over. Is there any other question? Guru Prasad has a question. Yeah, yes, Guru Prasad.
Yes, Swamiji. The webinar was indeed full of insights, and I think as you brought out a lot of valuable qualities like emotional intelligence, then clarity of thinking, which helps in conflict resolution,
Right,
capability to influence other people through
right.
the sheer energy which comes from positive thinking. Lot of positive contribution is there from Vedanta towards leadership, and this
Yeah.
I have discovered from my own experience. But
Hmm.
my question is,
Hmm.
the world is more and more becoming a VUCA world,
Yeah.
volatile, uncertain, and you know uh,
Correct. Yeah,
ambiguous
well
and
said.
all this, right?
Correct.
So, and the corporate world has also become extremely short-sighted these days.
Hmm.
Everybody is focusing on quarterly numbers, what happens next over the next 1 week. I mean, people are developing more and more very, very short-term focus.
Hmm.
And in such a scenario, true leadership or real good quality leadership often
Hmm.
goes unrecognized.
Correct.
So the real leaders who are having a long-term vision, who are having the vision to develop their subordinates, who are making real lasting contribution, often
Hmm.
don't get the credit that is due to them.
Yeah.
So my point is that until unless it flows from the very top,
Hmm.
uh, often what happens is that the Vedantic insights or Vedantic contribution
Hmm.
is not really reflecting in the performance of the individuals, because after all performance is measured based on the measure, the
Hmm.
yardstick set by the company, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to uh, get more clarity on from you.
True, true, true. This has always been a challenge. I'm sure even during the Mahabharata, the Pandavas sitting in the forest would have talked just like you talked. All said and done, good people are sent to forest and bad people are given the kingdom to rule. Especially Bhima or Arjuna would have raised this question, and Yudhishthira must have had a hard time to convince them, that things are not as bad as you imagine. So history repeats, they say. So today also in this VUCA world, again and again we come across everywhere, even in the field of sports. In sports they say you should have sportsmanship spirit, which means play for the joy of playing, and not for winning. But then the ground reality is everybody wants to win. Who was that? Some American football coach was known for a statement, something like winning is not everything. Then he says winning is the only thing. So winning is given focus rather than the joy of participation, etc. But then, Prasad, the point is the wise people are always in minority. And if you and I decide to set our house right, no matter how many mistakes we made, from today we want to live rightly. Now, there are two things. One is we should not worry how many others are doing like we are doing. Number two, whether we are going to be recognized or not should also not matter. In fact, during these Kerala floods, one of the little videos that came to all of us was how Infosys Foundation, not the Infosys company, but the Infosys Foundation, being run by Narayan Murthy and Sudha Murthy, was arranging relief for Kerala and Coorg, Markera. And there, the inspiring thing is this lady, Sudha Murthy, herself is running from one edge of the hall to other to do the packing and put things, and just like an ordinary woman, she is with her team, and it sent a wonderful message to everybody. However rich and however accomplished you may be, if you have that spirit of serving. So in today's times, I think small number of people like Murthy's of Infosys, and what I've heard about Tata's also, a huge percentage of their profit goes for variety, wide range of social uplift programs. Tata's practically give away all their profit for social uplift. So there have been people everywhere. So, but I agree. All of them together perhaps is 1%, and 99% are chasing money, chasing the fame, chasing to be in the limelight and so on. It has been like that. The world has been like that. The good ones have always been a small minority. We must try to become members of that small minority, in spite of all the odds against us. But that doesn't mean that we should act foolishly. We should find mature ways where we don't hurt ourselves. Therefore, I often quote, discretion is the better part of valor. By trying to be heroes, we should not injure ourselves. If you have two coats, give one to the neighbor, as Christ had said. All right. Organizers have noticed any other questioner, text
Yes.
or in voice?
Vasudev Rao Shamsundar.
Text or voice?
No, it's voice. It's a hand raised.
Right, correct. Yes, Sham Sundar.
Hari Om Swami Vijay. It's a very nice lecture that we had. This is in reference to the gentleman who asked about the consciousness and the inanimate and the jiva
Correct.
person. This consciousness actually, in my understanding, is in reference to the beings. And there's another name for the given for the inanimate, like existence. Both the existence and the consciousness being the same, because the principles of both consciousness and existence are the same. So it actually doesn't matter. His question was whether the consciousness word is relevant. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Yes, right. I too wanted to say this. The same Chit is called Sat also. Sat and Chit are not two different things.
Right.
And a stone, what appears to be inanimate and seems to belong to another camp, in as much as it is Sat, and Sat is no different from Chit. That's where philosophy, detailed study of philosophy helps us.
Right.
Then we see that everything is consciousness. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that oneness of Sat and Chit. Yes, that comes handy in understanding these things.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you all. Namaste. See you again another time.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste.